Reverb is extremely important when you're making a song. You cannot have everything dry without reverb because it doesn't sound natural, all the sounds are at the same distance, it's boring, it doesn't have depth, it's not interesting. You need reverb. But sometimes you can destroy your mix if it's super chaotic.
Oh my God!
So how to get a good reverb? This is what this video is about. Remember to like the video and subscribe so I can keep making more videos. It doesn't matter what reverb plugin you use, they all have the same basic settings. Decay, pre-delay, size, mix, and then some others have extra things. For this video I'm going to use the Valhalla Vintage Verb. And no, this is not a video about how to use a reverb and explain all the settings. This is to go more advanced. For this video I'm going to use this snare. I'm going to introduce a little bit the decay, maybe increase a bit the pre-delay. As we have an EQ, I'm going to increase a little bit the low cut, maybe reduce a bit the size and the attack. And the reverb sounds like this. Now that we have this, something really important, even more than the settings I just touched, is the room that you choose. This is the first step. Every reverb has different modes or rooms. For example, here you have all of this. We have the concert hall, the bright hall is brighter, we have the plate, ambience, dirty hall, sanctuary, or the non-linear. Choosing the right room for your sound is crucial. As you can see, it changes a lot. But of course, don't use completely different rooms for every sound in your song. This is gonna be super chaotic. Have max 2 or 3 rooms. For example, one for percussions, one for leads, and one for more ambient sounds. There is no right or wrong here, just choose the best one for your sound. And in this case, I'm going to use the plate. But reduce a little bit more the decay. And of course, reduce the mix. The second step to master the reverb is to EQ this reverb. And yes, some plugins have a built-in EQ. For example, the Vintage Verb has a low cut and a high cut, the Valhalla Room only has a high cut, and the Fab Filter Pro QR has a built-in Pro Q3, which is really good. Anyway, it's pretty interesting to have an EQ after the reverb to control it better. To do this and don't affect the original sound, you need to have the reverb in another mixer channel. So I'm going to take the reverb from the snare, and send it, for example, here, and this now is the reverb. And you need to click on the snare channel, go here, and click in the reverb. This way they are linked. You need to make sure that in this new channel, the reverb is 100% on the mix. Otherwise, you're gonna have one channel with the original sound, and another channel with the original sound and the reverb. So the originals maybe cancel each other out. Now we can have an EQ, and as you can see, it already has a low cut and a high cut, because I did it in the Valhalla Vintage Verb. But for example, if you use the Valhalla Room, that as I said, doesn't have a low cut, this is how the EQ looks like. It has a lot of low-end muddiness that you don't want. And maybe also you want to reduce this peak of the snare, and maybe, I don't know, around here you want to reduce it to make it sound a bit cleaner. And here's some extra tips. If your reverb has a lot of high frequencies, it's gonna feel a lot closer to you. If you remove the highs, it's gonna feel more in the background. Also, usually the mid frequencies make the reverb sound pretty dirty. So I recommend you reducing around here to make sure the mid frequencies are quite clean. This was before and after. A lot more control and cleaner. Last but not least, you need to control properly this reverb in the song. Right now this reverb is quite short, but let's exaggerate this so this way you can understand better this step. I'm going to increase a lot the decay, for example 9 seconds, and I'm going to put a snare in every beat. If we play it, what is happening right now is that when this snare is playing, we have a lot of the reverb of this snare. So the attack of this one is not gonna be as clean as the first one that didn't have anything on top. What I mean is that we have the initial attack of the snare, we add the reverb that is gonna be on top of all of this. This attack is gonna be together with the reverb of this one, but this attack is gonna be together with the reverb of this and the reverb of this. And this attack is gonna be together with the reverb of these 3 sounds. So this way, this is super chaotic and the attacks and the original sound is not as clear as it should be. We need to use sidechain. You can do this in a lot of different ways, but I like to have a peak controller on the snare and a fruity balance in the reverb. What you need to do is right click here, link to controller, click here, choose the peak of the snare peak controller, click here, invert it, and accept. Right now, as you can see, the volume is in the max, so what we need to do is to increase the bass. One tip, if you use the fruity balance and you want the volume to be at 0, you need to put this at 20%. If I exaggerate this a lot, I'm going to increase the volume to the max and also the tension to the max. This is what happens. Right now, every attack of the snare is super clean, and then we have the reverb. You can exaggerate the sidechain if you want to have this kind of effect, like reverse swells covering different spots of the melody, or whatever you want. But of course, I'm not gonna do it that much. This is still too much. For me, between -3 and -5 is more than enough. And then, of course, reduce the volume here. Right now, with this huge reverb, it sounds like this. We have all the depth, but if we have the reverb as I had before, now we have this. You don't really hear this sidechain because it's quite subtle, but the snares are hitting properly. And of course, you can, and I recommend you to use this in every little thing that is maybe not ambient sounds. For example, on the melodies, on the vocals, and any other sounds that you want to bring a little bit more upfront in the mix, but you still want to keep the depth. And after explaining all of this, now is your turn to like the video and subscribe. See you in the next video!